I'm Lola Schroer and I am the Artist and Label Partnership Officer for the Student Music Network, and it is an absolute pleasure of mine to be joined by the up-and-coming singer-songwriter Etta Marcus. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Really, really well. I'm just so happy that we're able to have this conversation today because I feel like you are really at the start of your career and it's exciting to kind of catch you at the start and then be able to see where you're going to go. And I think for a lot of students, a lot of people can look up to you and think, you know, she's a similar age to me. If she can do it and I can do it. So it's really exciting to be able to have that opportunity to talk to you about your career so far. You've kind of, we would say, professionally, we'll call it professionally, your career has been like a 2-year one, but I'm kind of assuming here that music's always been in your life. Could you tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, always been in my life. I mean, grew up with a lot of music in the house, which is very, trad thing to say, but true. My parents weren't necessarily musicians, they're teachers, so they were just sort of like music fans, and so we had a lot of that, a lot of fans in my family, and music was just very important. So just sort of did the classic kind of middle class thing where you learn piano from a young age, and that was like really cool. That was kind of my intro. But then it wasn't until I started learning guitar, which was my kind of thing, I saw my brother start learning it and just thought, oh, I want to be him, I want to do that. And didn't see anyone in my classes playing guitar that were girls, so just sort of like wanted to pick that up and start doing that. And that's when I kind of got into songwriting, just sort of like a weird connection that you have with a guitar. It kind of is like an extension of me. It was really weird. So that is what happened. And then just kind of like carried on loving music and listening to music and writing music. I mean, I didn't start writing music until I was maybe 15, 16.
Well, that's not, I love how you were saying you didn't start writing music until you were that age, but that's still very young.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think like there's that warped kind of, I don't know,
you didn't want to be a pop star when they asked what you wanted to be.
Yeah, it's a warped idea that kind of people have to start writing from as young as possible. It's like, she got signed at 12 years old. And you're like, I mean, that's good for whoever that is. It's crazy, but like a bit scary. So I also like the songs I was writing at 15, 16 were utter crap, like so bad. So I just, carried on writing bad songs. And until I got to maybe, like GCSE kind of play area, and just kind of figured out that that's definitely what I wanted to do, because it's all I kind of knew when I was growing up, of like what I was good at and what I really loved was music. So by the time I got to GCSE, it was kind of like that, okay, what do you want to do with your life, even though that's still very early to kind of think that. I was just like, okay,
you have a career day. I remember at high school, you have a career day and they're like, so what are you good at? I'm like, English and drama. They're like, okay, you could be a writer. I'm like, okay. You're like, is there anything else? Like, writing sounds great, but like,
it's so much pressure. I know, but they also like, luckily my secondary school, I went to quite like a it's just a normal like state school in Dulwich. It was Kingsdale. I don't know if you know it, but and it's quite like creative. They're really supportive of that kind of thing. The music department was great. But still it's super like, it's a bit of like a joke when you're like, I want to be a artist, like I want to be a singer-songwriter. No one really believes you.
I think as well, because you just mentioned the school that you went to, and I know other people who went to similar schools or that school who were in bands and things like that, and like a lot of people were in bands or wanted to be singers or do music. And I guess if you actually seriously want to do it, and it's not just something that you do every now and again, and you actually, this is like a career that you want, sometimes it can feel like you're not lost in the mix of everyone else, but at that age, wanting to do music is a very popular thing, and you have to kind of put yourself aside and be like, this is actually something I want to do seriously, and you're going to do everything to make it happen. So I feel like you've done that.
Well, it's something that like you don't really know about at that age. You have no idea how it works. You don't really
time.
It's just fun, exactly. And so I think that's also why I kept it kind of secret. Like I didn't really tell anyone my kind of motivations or like the thing that I wanted to be, because it's just sounded silly when you said it out loud. So I just kept it to myself, and that kind of worked best for me.
Yeah, well, here you are now, and it has worked out best for you. So 2021 saw the release of your EP View from the Bridge. Now, I think that's just a beautiful kind of romantic sounding EP, and I think it's wonderful how your voice matches the different kind of instrumentation that you have there. But listening to your 2022 singles Crown and also your latest one Nosebleed, I can see the journey and I can see the progress. How does it feel now when you listen back to an EP that you probably made in like 2020 and you're listening back to it and you're being like, wait, this is where I'm at now, and your sound's evolving? How does it feel?
I don't know, I think just progress. Like, I don't really think too much into it. I just knew that with every coming thing that I'm writing, I just want it to be better. And so whatever that is, it will be like what will be kind of thing. So I just knew that I didn't want to release another kind of bunch of songs that would just sounded exactly the same as the first EP. I think it's about like writing about what you know and the kind of time stamp that you're in. And the first EP was that. And then the next couple songs that I released was just like the other things that I was into, because I just don't like being stuck in one place. I think it's important to have a sonic identity, but I think the people that I love and listen to, it's kind of like their voices are the sonic identity, and like everything else is built around that. So I think that's what I felt with the new songs. Yeah,
if you can make that into a lyric about their like voices being a sonic identity, I think you should. That's really good, and that's a really good answer. I read in an article that you feel like that this and your team also feel that you are growing in confidence, not only in your sound but who you are as an artist. And you've got your EP coming out next year, I believe, called Heart Shaped Bruise. Hopefully it will come out next year. Is Crown and fingers crossed, you never know, is Crown and Nosebleed a kind of indication of what we should expect the sound of that EP to be like, or is it going to be even louder?
I think don't expect too much of what's come out. I don't know, some people might listen and go, okay, no, that fits really well, but I think I describe this EP as like a bit of a showcase, like a showroom of kind of just different things that I didn't express in the first EP. And the first EP was very much like the intention was sonically everything is in the same space, and that's the intention. And then with this one, I was sort of like, I just want to experiment and I want to feel a bit creatively, I don't know, flexible and just see what I can do. And for me, something that I conquered this year was like faster songs, because that's like my kind of Achilles heel, is that I love listening to fast songs, love that, but slow songs are my thing. Like, I can do that, it's my bread and butter. I think I could do like a whole album of just that, but I like wouldn't love that, and that would be pretty bad. So I kind of focused this time on being like, what could I do to keep that sonic identity there but make it just more upbeat and fast? So came out with like Nosebleed and Crown, which are definitely the fastest songs on the EP.
Yeah.
And then the rest kind of like, I do love an arc in an EP, and I think there's an arc there that kind of you get to the middle point and things change a bit and everything kind of becomes a bit more intimate and goes back to a little bit like the first EP. So yeah, I think don't expect too much with the kind of first two songs that have come out that relate to the EP, but yeah,
so cryptic. So cryptic. I'm even more excited now. Now I'm just gonna say two highlights that I think that you've had in this last year. So you've been played on BBC London on Jess's show, which was obviously probably an amazing experience for you. You're being played in your local city's radio station, the main one. And you've also just performed your first kind of not professional gig, but you're one that you kind of really were like, people come see me at the theatre, and it wasn't just hopefully a bunch of friends, and I know it definitely wasn't a bunch of friends. So how exactly? I know what you're experiencing. So what are those are what I see as like your highlights that you've put out there, and we can talk about them, but has there been any personal highlights with you with your music journey that we as people, like whether it's media or fans, don't see?
Oh, don't see. I mean,
like in the studio, or
I think well, one of them, like I just said, was kind of writing Crown and Nosebleed, because those two songs were like really pushed and into something fast, which was, you know, in my world just like absurd. Like, that's not allowed. And I think that was actually, like, as funny as it may sound, it was kind of like a big achievement for me. I think Crown was the first song we wrote. And so to start off with Crown being the song that kind of set the mood for the EP, it was like just kind of like proving to myself that, okay, I can do that. And that's great. So I think that was a really cool achievement of mine. And then also just like things to do with the creation of this EP that people kind of don't see behind the scenes of much yet, but there's the title track Heart Shaped Bruise. We actually had some violins, some strings recorded on it, and it was the first time that I got to do that, and I've always dreamt of doing that. Sort of like,
that's so exciting.
yeah, like it was so amazing. We went to, I think it was Rack Studios, which is also another like huge cool thing because that's so much like history there. And went in, and this woman called Rosie Danvers, who's amazing, sort of helped arrange this, like I think it was a 6-piece or an 8-piece little string kind of group, and they were all lovely, and just sort of got to hear them being played live and recording to the track. And I was like, had one of those moments where it's kind of like out of body. It was like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy.
That's your song. And
yeah, exactly. And like Rosie looking at me like it's completely normal because she does it for so many people. So she's like, you know, if you need to cry, cry. Like, I don't cry. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that in front of you. No.
You cry when you get home.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Let's talk about the public kind of moments of achievement, the show, and also being played on BBC London. What was the show like? What's those experiences like?
Show was incredible. I mean, I don't actually remember much because I think yeah, it was like that, and the adrenaline gets to you, and it's just like so much to take in. Because I've done 2 headline shows this year, and they were so stark in comparison to each other. Like the contrast was just like huge. I mean, the first gig was St Pancras, and that was at this like beautiful old church, and it was kind of like half seated, half standing, and it was all acoustic. I didn't have a band, and I was playing these new songs that are coming out all acoustic, and so and also I'd like just recovered from COVID or something, so it was like really just not great.
Ill at the moment as well? Are you ill at the moment?
I'm not, but I know every single person I know is ill.
Okay.
Yeah, so like, I'm fingers crossed.
Like, yeah, I saw you post that you felt like death, and I was like, oh my gosh, is she going to make the interview? Or did you?
God, yeah. Today I have one of those days where it's just like, you know, and you just feel terrible. It's just everything feels bad. But yeah, I did that show, and then that felt really lovely for what it was. But I think, you know, music playing with a band and taking it to a bigger kind of sound is kind of like what you want to strive for. I love playing those intimate gigs, and I will still like do them here and there probably, but the Courtyard Theatre gig was like just so different. It was like obviously a lot of new people, a lot of new faces, and then also familiar faces from the first show, which is really nice to see. And obviously my family and friends were there. We weren't just people there, so that's great.
Good. That's progress. That's exciting.
Yeah, and it just felt like a show. Like it was the first time I got to actually put on a show, and I love, for me, when I go to gigs, I love it when artists have put thought into the bits in between songs and how one song flows into the other, you know, all that stuff. So I even had like an intro to walk into.
Oh my gosh, you're giving boxer, you're giving a boxing fight.
Exactly. I was like, this is the dream right here.
Tyson Fury, Etta Marcus. Wow. Oh, I love that. I love that.
Good time. And I got like flowers and cards afterwards. It was very, very sweet. So
yeah, well, obviously people are very proud of you, and they should be. You're very young and you're achieving so much already, and the music's already so good. So massive congratulations for that. I've got a couple fun questions for you. I'm believing that is a very stacked bookshelf behind you and not wallpaper. Is it wallpaper?
It's wallpaper.
I was going to ask, the first fun question is, what book are you reading at the moment? But if you're not reading any book, or you are?
I'm reading. I read a couple books on the go. I sort of have one which is sort of fiction, and then one that is kind of a bit of a hard read that's like good, but you need to kind of put it down. It's like non-fiction. So I'm reading a book by Audre Lorde, who is a poet, activist, lots of amazing things. And I don't know if she's the one who published the book, but someone else put out this book, sort of a collection of all her poems and her essays. She's like Black, gay, lesbian, lesbian Black woman who just kind of writes about the female experience, and it's just like really interesting, but it's like a lot to take in, so I'm sort of like can't read that just solidly. So reading that, and then also have just started reading Slaughterhouse-Five.
Okay.
So
is that a fifth in a series, or
no, is it by, I can't remember who it's by, but Slaughterhouse-Five is a classic. It's my brother suggested that I read it, so I'm giving it a go, and it's just like the title is very, I don't know, felt like I just really resonated with it.
You're like, you know what, you're like, I'm under the alternative bracket, I'm gonna go the alternative what I'm reading.
Yeah, everything has to relate.
Everything has to be alternative. I love that. And obviously this is a massive assumption by me, but I feel like you might like the Addams Family, and I feel like you might be watching Wednesday. And obviously,
you know what? I haven't even started it yet. I really need to start it. So
recast Jenna, amazing, but we have a Wednesday in front of us right now. I think
you always get that. Literally everywhere I go, it's just Wednesday.
But I think you were like, you know, there's like a renaissance of the Addams Family at the moment. I think
there is
the renaissance, so I think you should claim that. I think
I do take it as a compliment, so thank you. Yeah, okay. She's very, she's an icon. She's really cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you're an icon, she's an icon. If you, you do, oh my gosh, be on the soundtrack for the next series.
Oh my god, please.
Iconic. Okay.
That would be very cool. Yeah, if you could make that happen, oh yeah, love you forever.
Please. Okay, well, thank you so much, Etta. Is there anything you want to say to finish off the interview? This is going out to students, so anything you want to say towards that?
Have fun, guys. At uni, I've been there. I did 1 year of it and I got kicked out, so you guys are better than me, and I aspire to be you guys, so
I love that.
Have the best time at uni, the uni experience. And then I hope you enjoy the EP when it comes out, which is going to be January 13th, which is also very fitting, January 13th.
Yes.
So so I think just try and enjoy it if you want.
Thanks, Etta.